A prison without walls is the hardest prison to escape. If someone locked you in a concrete cell, you would immediately search for a way out. But what if the prison looked like comfort? What if its bars were made of routine, fear, and invisible expectations? Then you might spend your entire life inside it, believing you were free. Almost every child begins life with limitless possibilities. They dream without hesitation, create without fear, and ask questions no adult dares to ask. Yet somewhere along the way, something changes. Because the greatest obstacle isn't a lack of intelligence, money, or opportunity. It's the invisible forces that slowly convince us to become someone smaller than we were meant to be. Imagine a magnificent oak tree trapped beneath a slab of concrete. Deep underground, the seed contains everything it needs to become enormous. But every time it grows upward, it meets resistance. Eventually it bends, twists, and settles for whatever space remains. Human lives follow the same pattern. Psychologist Carl Jung believed that the greatest privilege of life is becoming who you truly are. He also warned that most people never complete this journey. Instead, they wear masks designed to earn acceptance from family, society, and culture. Over time, the mask becomes so familiar that they mistake it for themselves. Think back to childhood. How many times were you told to be realistic? To stop dreaming, to fit in, and to avoid failure? Each comment seemed harmless. Together, they quietly built the walls of an invisible cage. There's an old story about a baby elephant tied to a wooden stake. At first, it struggles with all its strength, but the rope never breaks. Years later, the elephant is strong enough to pull down trees, yet it never tries to escape. Not because it cannot escape, but because it believes it cannot. Humans do something remarkably similar. Psychologists call it learned helplessness. After enough failed attempts, the mind begins to assume future attempts are pointless, even when circumstances have changed completely. The prison is no longer outside, it has moved inside. History is filled with people who refuse to accept that prison. When Vincent van Gogh was alive, almost nobody appreciated his paintings. Yet he continued creating because something inside him mattered more than public approval. His life reminds us of a painful truth. Recognition often comes long after courage. Most people wait for confidence before taking action. But the truth is, confidence is not the beginning of action. It is the result of action. Most people wait for the perfect moment, the perfect opportunity, or the perfect version of themselves. But growth does not happen when life becomes easier. It happens when we choose to move forward despite fear and uncertainty. A tree does not become strong because the wind disappears. It becomes strong because it learns to survive the storm. Every failure, every rejection, and every struggle can either become a wall or a staircase. The difference is not what happens to us. The difference is the meaning we give to what happened. The person you could become is already inside you, but it requires courage to remove the layers of fear, doubt, and limitation. The greatest tragedy is not failing to become successful. The greatest tragedy is never discovering what you were capable of becoming. Because the world never sees the person you could have been if you always choose to stay the same. Your potential is not something you find. It is something you create through every brave decision you make.